So when you are looking for a car to buy and you are seeking advice, sometimes it's not necessarily the purchase cost of the vehicle that will determine how expensive the car will be in keeping the car on the road, depending how long you intend to use the vehicle. If the car allows you to use it up to that long, because sometimes it's not always your wish that matters, So you could buy a car very cheap, and then you end up spending so much in keeping the car running than the person that purchased the car more than you made purchase yours, or the person that spent more to buy his, depending on the model. Probably, I don't know, use any model of car you can think of. Two different model of vehicles. One more expensive, one is cheaper. So just because it's cheaper doesn't necessarily mean it will be cheaper to maintain. Because reason why I'm telling you is this. People usually focus more on, oh, please help me get a cheap car I can buy at so low budget. At the end of the day, you realize that it would have been even better to increase your budget and get something that you spend more in maintaining. There are cars these days I've not seen one by my, with my physical eyes, 101, or touch with my fingers. However, I could see some pictures online showing that there are newer cars these days, or cars produced recently, that come with their starter motor right inside the bell housing. Bell housing is what Nigerians locally call banjo, gearbox banjo. That's what they call it here. We're talking about the people, the technical minded ones, or those that know, bell housing. It's like, in other words, for you to change your starter motor, what Nigerians locally call kickstarter, you will have to not only sometimes removing the gearbox, dropping it off the vehicle, you must also remove the engine. Because you can tell that newer cars, 90, not even 90%, like 98% of them come in automatic transmission. And considering the size of these automatic transmissions, like 6-speed, 8-speed, even 10-speed automatic transmission you find in these cars, as small as they are, as small as their engines are, they have, even in Peugeot, their engines are basically small, 1.6 liter in the year. They have up 1.6, they have 8-speed automatic transmission, which should not be small in size. So there won't be enough space to pull the gearbox in the engine bay without removing it completely, including the engine off from the engine bay. So what that means is it increases the cost of the repair. Because I don't expect the person that you could say, is it not just common starter motor? If he has to pull everything in front of the vehicle out, pull the engine and the gearbox, which will take hours or one full day to pull out completely from the vehicle, separate the gearbox from the engine, and then losing out the starter motor, put the new one, and then continue with the process of reassembling and everything. So most likely could end up becoming 2 days work. And you expect it to not, you can't make the argument that, but this other vehicle that the starter is just on top of the gearbox, it could cost that person 1 penny to have a technician change it for him. Why would you not pay the same penny to change it in your own vehicle that requires gearbox and engine to be removed? And this process I described. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Doesn't matter how much the starter motor costs, but the process of having it replaced will cost way more than the starter. Give you another example. Compare Peugeot 406 with 407. When it comes to repair of the suspension, you want to change your, or fix noise that's coming from the front end of the suspension on both cars. Even if it's one component, let's say, okay, shock absorber mount. Let's just say it's shock absorber mount. Or one of those bushes down there. That's not how you expect the mechanic that will do the same work on both cars, the 406 and 407, to charge you the same amount, because 407 takes so much time. A lot of things will have to be removed, this and that, to be able to dismantle just one part of the wheel, the suspension on one wheel. May your girls help you if you are a Christian or religious. If the noise is not coming from the mount, that is actually coming from all those, I don't know how many bushes on what they call hanger in a 407. You understand what I'm saying? So by the time you diagnose, to diagnose a 407, a noise in a 407 suspension, so the diagnosis itself is a huge cost on its own. You know, not to think of nowadays. So people mix it up. You know, so compared to 406, where you just direct, you see it, remove it, put it back, and that's the end. Same goes with 206 versus 207. 207, the front suspension is way much easier to repair than the 206. For me, someone who also is engaged in doing some of these repairs. So the time, the energy it takes to do all this, and the expertise involved as well, to be able to know what the problem is. In other words, let me put it in a simpler way. The complexity of a car, how complex a vehicle system is, will determine how much you will spend or it will cost you in maintaining that vehicle. Now you could say, not all the time that this parts will be failing. I get that, yes. If you use genuine parts, if you drive on a rough road that are smoother, you don't have to worry about suspension failure for a very long time. It doesn't mean that if you are the rough type that drive very rough, even on a smooth road, you could see lower your suspension lifespan. You know, you could say, but the road is smooth. Yeah, maybe you drive on speed bump. Speed bump can be on a smooth road, but you keep by the time that speed on speed bumps, sure, it will weaken it. You know, I can give many examples. But my point is, cost of buying a vehicle shouldn't be your headache. I'm not saying if you can't afford it, you should kill yourself. But considering that if it's cheap, ask the questions to those that know better than you do concerning that particular vehicle. What's the maintenance cost like? Now you could say, maybe you ask the wrong person, maybe some people that abuse cars, they may tell you, oh, this car is horrible, walk away. Yeah, it could be that they will give you the wrong information because they don't know how to maintain cars, so they misuse their vehicle, abuse their cars, and they can't deal with them mercilessly. I get that. There are people that you could ask, people who know they don't abuse vehicle, who have the knowledge, who are the expert in that particular brand or model of the vehicle or this and that. Okay, what's the cost like? How do I prevent unnecessary breakdown and the rest? Then weigh your options. But at least understand that even paying for work to be done can increase the cost of maintaining that vehicle. That's where I'm coming from, irrespective of the cost of the parts on that car. You know, but I know if you are the type that maintains car very well, that handles your car, I would say gently, but at least you don't refuse your vehicle. Why should you give you headache all the time? Even though I know there are some model of vehicles that it doesn't matter how good you use the vehicle, how gentle you use the car. There are some components there that actually like lemon, or from factory they are actually bad, they don't last or this or that. So there are cases like that. But I'm saying that generally cars are actually that good from the beginning. You know, so that's what I want to put out, because people always focus more on purchase costs. Right now, your 407 will cost you cheaper to buy than the 406 that it replaced. But guess what? 406 will cost you less to maintain than the 407. However, 407 can still cost you less to maintain. Not necessarily as less as 406. No, it won't get to the 406. No matter what, to still cost you less as long as the usage of both cars are the same, the manner of usage. The only thing is, if you are the type that maintain cars, right, it will take you quite a while before you start spending, not just on suspension, every other thing, electronics, this and that. Because 407 has more electrical gadgets, so those ones, as if they fail, yeah, you spend more compared to 406 that they do have, but not as much as the 407. So that's where I'm coming from. So 407, it doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter. It will cost you more. Right now, this is my Coupe V6. When was the last time I worked on the suspension? I think it has fine. It's close to 2 years now, if I'm not mistaken. They have started showing me electrical sign that one of the front suspension components is bad. I haven't gone there because I know what it takes to diagnose 407 suspension. You might be going with intention of just one component, just you end up spending. So I don't know. I know that he hasn't gotten that bad. He hasn't started making noise, but I know I started showing me warning that one of the suspension components is weak. It's up to me to now take the courage and then jack the vehicle and then see what's going on there and deal with it. So, but I would say I won't complain, because if I could use this car for even probably more than 2 years without, or close to 2 years without any suspension work before it starts failing, I would say, this Nigeria, bad roads here and there. I mean, I won't complain. If I do, then something is wrong with me. So I think that's the only thing I want to talk about in this video. It may not make sense to some people, but it should be an eye-opener when you are choosing a car to buy. If you made the purchase already, you realize that, yeah, it's not something you can handle. Maybe you can do the switch immediately as fast as possible. Sell, buy the one you can maintain, look for money, add up, buy it, So that's it. So don't buy a car because it's too cheap like that. No, because you might not be able to maintain that vehicle. That's my point. You might buy it, use it for only 1 month, then it will pack for another 6-7 months without you being able to use it, because you can't afford to fix issues that are coming up. See where I'm coming from. Alright, so like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.